Will the laws be changed to prevent you modifying your motorcycle in any way? Catch you inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave those comments below. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Click the bell next to the subscribe button for all future videos. So, in this video, I'm talking about the modification of any motorcycle in the UK predominantly, but you could extend this all over the world. Will that be prevented in the future, and will that be based upon emissions? Now, obviously, I'm talking about performance upgrades, engine modifications primarily here. In the case of Harley Davidson, if you want to upstage your motorcycle from 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, muffler, air filter, tuner changes, whatever. But you could apply the same principle to any motorcycle power commanders, where you're changing the fuel flow according to different airflow rates within the cylinders. So there's lots of things that we can do with any kind of vehicle, and also with motorcycles in particular, as pertaining to this video. But when we do that, then that affects the emissions. It affects your fuel economy, as we know. You start tinkering with the upstaging of a motorcycle in the case of Harley Davidson's, and you'll notice your fuel economy goes down as well. Now, if more governments around the world start latching onto the emission standards, then more motorcycle manufacturers will have to readily comply with any future emission standards. Notably, Harley Davidson have had to do this in the last few years with their motorcycles. In fact, the M8 engines are compliant not only for today's standards, but some future standards as well. So they're already ahead of the curve in that respect. In fact, some motorcycle manufacturers have had to discontinue certain models because they cannot meet future emission standards. Let's say, for example, Yamaha, the latest VMAX, which is going to have to be discontinued, or will be, or has been discontinued for that very reason. There are lots of motorcycle models that will have to suffer the same fate. Now, how does this affect you and I? Well, if a motorcycle is produced by the manufacturer to comply with a emission standard, then we as owners, if we change that motorcycle, if we modify it in some way, then that will affect the emissions standards, the emissions of that motorcycle, and then it may be deemed to be illegal. Now, it really depends in which country you are, what those emission standards will be, and what they will allow you to do with your motorcycle in the future. But this is certainly on the horizon. And this is certainly something that has kind of crept into the Harley Davidson world in many ways, because it's one of the brands that is most readily modified by its owners. And they're talking about the modifications, whether that will affect warranties as well. And if you watch my other videos on that, you know, we discuss that quite a lot. But essentially, modifications can void your motorcycle. And actually, a lot of it is not to do with the actual disruption or degradation that it may cause to your motorcycle engine, let's say, or a powertrain, but it's actually because it then interferes with the emission standards as well, and they have a get out of jail free card, if you will. So it's one of those fluid situations with this. If governments around the world in certain continents decide to change the emission standards, I'll make them very much more strict. Or if they impose an annual checking of emissions, let's say for motorcycles or whatever, and you have to meet that emission standard, then you're going to have big issues to deal with. A manufacturer can only produce a motorcycle as they see fit, and they will have to comply with whatever standard it is in whatever market they have to sell that motorcycle. And there are lots and lots of different criteria and rules and regulations they have to meet. So they have a headache as well, but it looks as if that many owners will have a headache as well if you want to modify your motorcycle. Now, many people would say, well, just don't modify it, just keep it stock, just change the aesthetics of it, don't touch the powertrain as well. I mean, there is that argument. But one of the big problems, especially with a manufacturer like Harley Davidson, is that they've built up their whole model, their business model, on owners modifying their bikes. So if laws will prevent owners from modifying their bikes, and the way they're going to be able to test this primarily is through emissions testing, then that could be a big hole in the market as well. But anyway, watch this space. Certainly where you are in the world, things have already started to change as well, with emissions, but also in terms of the type of exhaust that you can have, or you will be allowed to have, whether it's standard, non-standard. Noise levels would be another thing as well, where certain law enforcement agencies may be targeting motorcycles with loud exhaust, that kind of thing. So it is one of those things that a lot more attention is going to be paid to the emissions and modifications of motorcycles and whether they comply with the laws of the day. But bear this in mind, anything that you do to your motorcycle that is not produced, that is not standard on the motorcycle from the manufacturer, may be impacted in the future as well. Not only here in the UK or in Europe, but also around the world. It really depends how each individual government take this on board. Anyway, let's watch this space. That's all we can say. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave those comments below. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Click the bell next to the subscribe button, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.
RevelatorAlf.